in data communication, we call it as protocol layering. So when communication is complex, we may need to divide the task into different layers. It's simple example, when you are writing any large length of C program, you will just divide into functions, okay, so that it will be easier to debug, maintain everything. In the same manner, in the communication network model, there divided the layers and the functionality into, instead of into a single layer, it is divided into multiple layers. So those layers are responsible for performing the individual functions. Each layer is responsible for performing individual functions. Okay, so here we'll go through, this is one more new diagram that is added to the new edition. Okay, I'm just going to explain what are the different scenarios of communication. Okay, here we are considering two scenarios. So let us develop simple scenario to better understand the need of protocol layering. Okay, why we need protocol layering. The first scenario is communication is so simple that it can occur in only one layer. Okay, either it can, you develop an application everything into a single layer, or it can be divided into multiple layers. So in that case, the first case is a simple single layer. So here I am just assuming two friends, okay, Maria and Anne, or neighbors with a lot of common ideas. Okay, so these two friends, they used to share their ideas. Okay, so what they want to be, or what they want to implement, or whatever it is. So whatever the thoughts they have, they used to share it. So communication between Maria and Anne takes place in one layer. So that is face to face. Okay, so even when it is between face to face, it requires to follow set of protocols. Okay, so what are those protocols? We'll just go with one by one. Okay, even if there is a single layer, when two friends are communicating face to face, so we need they have to follow some rules. Okay, in communication we call it as protocols. So what are those rules? Okay, we'll just go each of the rules one by one. First, so Maria and Anne know that they should meet, they should greet each other when they meet. Okay, this is the first rule. Whenever those two people they meet, so they should greet each other. So that is the first rule. Then second, they know that they should confine their vocabulary to the level of their friendship. Okay, what level of vocabulary they have to use based on their friendship they can use. Then third one is each party knows that she should refrain from speaking when other party is speaking. Okay, that means it is something like a duplex. Okay, when Maria is speaking and should listen to her, okay, or vice versa. So anyone can speak at the time, other should be able to listen. So that is the third rule. Then fourth rule is each party knows that the conversation should be a dialogue. Okay, dialogue means it is an exchange. Okay, first time Maria is talking, then second time Anne should be allowed to speak, something like that. Okay, so it should not be monologue. Only one person is keep on talking. No, that is not allowed. So according to this situation, I am telling both should have opportunity to talk about the issues, whatever the ideas they want to exchange. So they should get, both should get an opportunity to speak. That is the fourth rule. Then fifth one is they should exchange some nice words when they leave. Okay, so say telling bye bye, both of them. Okay, so this is how, when two friends want to communicate face to face, okay, even in that time it requires some of the rules to be followed. Okay, so these are all not required for exam point of view, but you need to understand. Okay, so why they have done layering in the communication in the networks, why protocols. So this is why we need protocol. Okay, whenever two parties want to exchange information or they want to communicate each other, okay, so what are the rules they need to follow? Okay, so this is one simple scenario when they were there face to face. consider now, due to some reason, maybe Anne is moved to some particular other place, other country. Okay, so Maria still want to communicate with her. Okay, still she want to communicate with her friend to exchange their ideas. They used to continue through this communication. Okay, using sending mail or whatever it is, whatever the technology it is there to connect each other. They used to use that for exchanging the information. So in that case, what is the rules they're following when they are connected or when they are located and connected? When they are located in different place and want to communicate, so what are the rules to be followed? Okay, I'll come back to this diagram. So I'll just go through the rules. Okay, so this is additional. Okay, this is when it is there face to face. So now we'll understand these two friends are not in the same city. Okay, they were in different cities, so still they want to communicate each other. So in that case, so how exactly or what are the rules both the friends need to follow? Okay, that is the second scenario. So we assume that Anne is offered higher level position in our company but needs move to another branch located in a city very far from Maria. Okay, so this is just to tell that they are not in the same place or face to face communication. So both are located in different places or different cities. So they decide to continue their conversation with the mail. Okay. However, they don't want the idea to be revealed by other people if the letter is intercepted. Okay. So when they are sending something very important or confidential information, there may be possibility the third person may open the letter and see what is there in that. Okay. So they don't want to happen this. So for that reason, they've used a technique called encryption and decryption technique. Okay. So this is mainly used for avoiding the third person to go through the content. So we call it as intruder. When the message is sending from source to destination in the network, there may be possibility of the third person may check or read the message. Okay. So if it is sent as a plain text means whatever you are going to type, that is sent as it is. Okay. So if you want to avoid the intruder to go through the content, so we need to go for encryption and decryption technique. So what is this encryption and decryption is going to do? It is mainly used for security purpose. Okay, so that means, come back to the diagram, you can just see. So Maria is want to communicate with Anne, so write a letter. She is going to write a letter, so it will be in the form of plain text. Okay, so that is encrypted. Okay, that whatever the plain text is there, that is encrypted. That means that nobody can understand that. Whatever the text you are sending, nobody can understand. And when you are encrypting that plain text, it is going to produce the cipher text. Okay, after encryption, the output what you are going to get is cipher text. So nobody can understand except Maria and Anne. Nobody can understand this information because they both will be using some key to open that letter. Okay, some method is used so that only these two can understand. Okay, once it is done, cipher text is produced, so that will be sent through the mail. Okay, through post office. Then it is carried through the postal carrier facility, normally transport, and it is reached at, you just observe here. So before going to the, this is sender and this is receiver, you can just observe how layering is done. Okay, when the parties are in different locations. Only additional thing what I told compared to the previous class discussion. So here they have added encryption and decryption so that introducer cannot see the or able to read the content. Okay, so whenever a cipher text is produced, so that the third person or the introducer will be unable to read the information. So that is the reason always our data, whatever it is sending in the network, it is encrypted. Okay, it is encrypted. Plain text is how it is done. Okay, all that, it is different part of the topic. We will discuss that part later. Okay, plain text is taken. See example. So instead of if I want to send some message, okay, SVC. Okay, instead of SVC, I will use technique. In place of yes, I will use H. In place of V, I will use A. Something like that. Okay. So we have different techniques of representing the SVC. So now this one, what I can do is in place of yes, I will just specify it as H, C, F, E. Okay. Okay. So I want to send this, consider this is my password. So now I cannot send this password directly. Okay. So whenever the plain text is sent, so it has to be encrypted in the network. So using will be having a separate layer. So that is having set of protocols that will perform the encryption of the data. Okay. And you can just see, is it anybody can understand this now? This information. Okay. Other than me and the receiver, nobody can understand what is this HCW. Now, wherever S comes in my mail, if it is a big file or the mail, so wherever S comes, I will replace with H. Wherever V comes, I will replace with C. Okay, and E is replaced with a W. Okay, like this, I can encrypt my data. Maybe in when your child used to use this. Just a minute. So we used to use this technique, okay, so that other friends they should not know what is the information we are exchanging, something like that. Okay, so that is used. So this is a separate topic of security. So in that part, in that topic, you will learn how to do security. I mean encryption. Okay, once it is received at the receiver, you can just see the mail is carried through, and it is received at the layer 1 in at the hand side. So it is received the mail. So once mail is received, so that mail will, it is in the ciphertext. Okay. So ciphertext cannot be understand. So even Anne cannot understand what is ciphertext. So they have some protocols here. So using that protocol, the data, whatever it is in ciphertext, it is decrypted so that she'll get in plain text. Then Anne can read the data or whatever the information it is sent by the Maria. So this is how the second scenario. So how layering is done. Okay, you can just observe each layer is responsible for one particular function. So considering this, they have introduced the OSI model. So the complete model, it is done in the form of layers. Can somebody tell what are the layers are available? We have discussed in the last class. How many layers are there?
7.
Okay, there are 7 layers. So can you somebody tell in order? Yes. What is the first layer?
Application.
You are going, that is up layer 7. Okay. If you are coming from layer 7 is application layer. So we'll discuss each layer in detail. Then after that, the next layer.
Presentation.
Okay. Okay. Next, third one.
Session.
Fourth one.
Transport.
Yes. then layer
network,
1, 4, 3. Layer 2,
data line,
data,
data link, data link.
data link. Yes. Then last one,
Last one is physical.
physical layer. Okay. Okay. So these are the standard OSI model layers. So you need to remember the order I told in the last class itself. Is it clear? The layers, what are the 7 layers are available? So we need to understand what is the function of each of these layers. Okay, what are the protocols are available? So each layer is responsible for what function. Okay, so in detail we are going to discuss about these things. So there are some modification in the textbook, that is edition 4 and 5. Okay, so in edition 4 they started directly with the OSI model. So OSI model 7 layers. So there is one more optimized model. So that is called TCP/IP model. So that is used in real time. So where the number of layers are reduced to 5. Okay. So we'll discuss each of these models. Okay. So now before going to the OSI model, we'll understand what are the advantage of layering. Okay. So protocol layering enables divide complex tasks into several smaller and simpler tasks. So one of the advantage of protocol layering is that it allows us to separate services from the implementation. Okay. Then a layer needs to be able to receive set of services from lower layer and give services to the upper layer. So we do not care about how the layer is implemented. Okay, so we will understand this part in the model itself. How exactly? See, whenever I told 7 layers, so each layer is responsible for some of the information or some of the functionalities. At the same time, so this lower layer should provide the service to the upper layer. Okay, so how it is done, we'll discuss. Okay, in case if you are not using protocol layering, so we would have to make each intermediate system as complex as the end system, which makes whole system more expensive. Okay, if I am not going for protocol layering, so whatever it is communication it is implemented everything in a single layer, sometimes it is going to be very complex. Okay, so either to maintain or to update, modify anything, it is going to be complex. So that is the reason why we need to go for protocol layering. Okay, so here there are two principles of protocol layering. So we'll go with one by one. The first principle, or the first principle tells, the first principle detects that if we want bidirectional communication, we need to make each layer so that it is able to perform two opposite tasks. Okay, two opposite tasks, one for each direction. So this is like each layer should be able to perform two tasks. Okay, one is like whenever it is something like bidirectional, whatever we have discussed in full duplex, it is somewhat like that. For example, the third layer task is to then listen and talk. Then the second layer needs to be able to encrypt and decrypt. The first layer needs to send and receive mail. So this is how they have given the functionality to each of the layer. Okay, so you just go back to the diagram. You can just observe. So this is layer is responsible for listen or to talk, and second layer is responsible for whatever the data that is coming from the upper layer in the plain text. It should be encrypted and produce the ciphertext. Then layer 1, it is responsible for take the ciphertext information, okay, adding header footer, that means sender and receiver address, and send through the postal. Okay, So that is how the first principle that is used in the layering. Second principle. In the second principle, so we need to follow the protocol. Layering is that two objects under each layer at both sides should be identical. Okay, that means whatever the layers you are using at the sender side, the same set of layers should be implemented at the even receiver side. Okay, for example, the object under layer 3 at both sides should be plain text letter. Okay, there should be one-to-one correspondence. Okay, so here layer 3 is plain text, and here if it is ciphertext, then communication not possible. Okay, so here it requires one-to-one communication, one-to-one object mapping, identical objects. You can just observe. So here it is in this layer 3, this side. So both should be having the identical objects. Similarly, layer 2 ciphertext, and the layer 1 identical object is mail. So this is how identical or the functionality is implemented at both the side with the identical objects. So that is the second principle need to be followed. Okay, so next we'll move on to logical connections. So what is logical connections? Okay, you can just observe. So each layer will be having logical connection. So what is the meaning of logical connection here? I have not explained that there will be a logical like connection or link between each of these layers. There will be always only one physical link between the layer 1 and layer 1 at the receiver side. This is physical link that is going to carry the information. But still I am telling here there will be a logical connection. What is the meaning of logical? Logical means it is not like physical connection. Okay, it is not a physical connection. But still it requires logical communication between the layers. So the layer 3 from sender and layer 3 from receiver should have a connection. Okay, so that is not physically existing, it is logically existing. So that is called as layer to layer communication. So Maria and Anne can think that there is a logical means it is not physically existing, or it is virtual, or it is imaginary. So that means you are going to write programmatically, you are going to write the instruction for making this connection, logical connection. Okay, through set of instructions you are going to establish a connection between Maria and between the layers. Okay, between the layers it is an imaginary connection at each layer through which they can send the object created from that layer. Okay, is it clear what is logical connection? So this diagram you need to understand thoroughly so that you can map this diagram to the actual OSI model. Okay, so one thing you need to observe is there is a sender and receiver, and there is a layering mechanism, and each layer is responsible for a particular functionality, and also it requires each layer should have a logical connection between the identical objects. So your identical objects are plain text from this side and plain text from this side, and these should be existing in the same layer. Okay. So I was explaining about the TCP/IP protocol. I mean OSI model. Okay. So due to some reason, so this model is not existing. They have not implemented completely in the real-time communication network. Okay. So all the 7 layers are not considered. So the modified version of this OSI model they have introduced as TCP/IP protocol. Okay. So what you can observe here, how many layers are there? You can just observe there are 5 layers. Okay, 7 layers are reduced to 5 layers. How? You can just observe. So this is nothing but physical layer. You can just see here hardware devices is nothing but physical layer. Then network layer. So these two together it is called as hardware and device layer. So and then we have network layer, then transport layer, then application layer. Okay, so you can just observe these three are combined into application layer. Layer 7, 5, 6. Okay, so these together is single layer in TCP/IP protocol. So this is a new model what we are using currently. Okay, so this is a new model what we are using in real time, and this is just a OSI model. It is a standard recognized in the beginning. Then after that, so this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so there are totally 5 layers that is exist in the TCP/IP protocol, and this is a model referred in the real-time application. Okay, this is a model referred in the real-time application. So we'll discuss in detail about these layers. Okay, so TCP/IP is a protocol suite used in the internet today. I told. So this is just a modified version of this. Don't get confused. Actually, in the 4th edition, they explained completely about OSI model first. Then they've explained about the TCP/IP protocol. Only thing is, whatever the functionality it is there, so it is just combined into a single layer. Okay, I'm just now following the 5th edition. Okay, so where they first explained about this TCP/IP protocol suite. So I told why we came with this TCP/IP protocol suite. So due to some drawbacks with the OSI model, so they were unable to implement completely with 7 layers. They've introduced this TCP/IP protocol suite. There is nothing much change. Only thing is they have combined the set of layers into a single layer. That's all. Okay, it is just simplified version. Is it clear? So now you should be able to remember what other layers are available. You can just observe here this side. Okay, so what are the layers are available in TCP/IP protocol suite? How many layers? Okay, there are 5 layers. The first one is physical layer, a data link layer, network layer, transport layer and application layer. Okay, so I will explain all these 5 layers, and also I will explain. So there are 2 more layers that is left out, presentation and session layer. Okay, this is just combined into application layer in TCP/IP model. That's all. There is nothing difference. Is it clear what is the main difference between OSI model and TCP/IP protocol model? So in the application layer, in OSI model, they have separated session, presentation and application layer in 3 layers. So that is combined into a single layer in TCP/IP protocol suite. Okay. So layers in the TCP/IP protocol suite. TCP/IP protocol suite used in the internet today. So it is hierarchical protocol made up of interactive models. Okay. It is hierarchical. That means you are representing in the form of tree structure or in the form of layers. Okay, it is actually not tree structure. It is in the form of layers, and each of which provides specific functionality. The term hierarchical means that each upper layer protocol is supported by the service provided by one or more lower layer protocol. Okay, so here upper layer protocol means layer application layer is upper layer protocol for transport layer. For network layer, the upper layer protocols are transport layer and application layer. Okay, so you need to understand which is the upper layer and the lower layer protocol. Okay, I told in the beginning classes, this communication or network, it is not just simple either software or hardware. It is combination of both hardware and software. So in the original TCP/IP protocol suite was defined for 4 software layers built upon the hardware. Okay, so in the OSI model, okay, in the OSI model, the first 4 layers, okay, okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so these 4 are implemented in the software. So these are categorized into a software part. And remaining network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. Remaining 3, it comes under hardware part. Okay. So they are looking the hardware level, they are forced at the software level. That's practically you are going to write protocols to perform the required task, completely software. And these three layers, it requires interaction with the hardware. So that is the main difference between original TCP/IP. So this is original TCP/IP. Okay, normally we call it as OSMO. And the modified version, where we will be having only, in that also we have both software and hardware related layers, but it is reduced to 5-layer model. You can just observe here. So this is a diagram that shows how exactly the source and destination is going to connect. Okay, this is, you just observe, this is just a very abstract level. I have a source node here, okay, and this is a destination node. So now to connect these two, we need some network elements. Okay, network hardware devices. Okay, one is LAN. Okay, this device is connected to one particular LAN, and this device is also connected to the another LAN. So now when you want to connect these two for communication or to establish a network, so it requires router. Okay, so router is going to give the connection to send the data from source to destination. I told in the last class, router, it is going to store the information and it will forward the data to the destination. And also it is going to have some intelligence that it will find the shortest route. Okay, if it is a very big complex network, okay, this is very simple network I have taken. If it is a complex network, it is also going to identify which is the best path. So there it is going to create a table that is called routing table. Okay, maybe I will explain the routing table information when we are discussing about the network layer. Okay, so in that routing table, it will be having the source address, some set of fields will be there. Main field I will just write. So it will be having source address, destination address, then number of hops, and I will write other information. So this is if the source is A and if it is D. Okay, it's a take. So that will be stored in the routing table. Okay, it is this route going to create this route, learn by sending some set of data. Okay, learn by sending set of data, and as and when the data is exchanging, it will just form the routing table. And among those routes, it will identify which is the best route to send the data to the destination. Okay, so this is simple diagram that tells how source and destination hosts are connected. You can just observe if you go for detailed explanation of the layers corresponding to this network. So you have source node, okay, or host, we call it as node, host, device. Okay, these are all common terms indicating the sender. So here you can just see there is application, transport, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So then the data is moving from this source to the LAN. Okay, so here it is connected with switches. Okay, switches, you already know, it is going to just forward the data. It is not going to store. Switch is going to just forward the data to the next node. So what is the next node here? Router. Router is going to have 3-layer object. One is network layer, a data link layer, and physical layer. I told always hardware it is implemented with the 3 layers. Okay, application and transport comes under the software part. Okay, whenever if you are specifying router, it is going to contain 3 layers, so physical, data link, and network layer. Okay, once it is done, it will move to the specified destination through LAN 2 or link 2, and it reaches the destination. When it reaches the destination, once again it has to go through all the layers. The data, you will come to know why it has, the information has to go through the all the layers one by one. Okay, it is going to perform as the data is moving from layer by layer, so there is some functionalities added, and you will come to know what is that exactly when we start discussing individual layers. Is it clear? Any doubts? And this is, I told about identical object mapping. So how objects are mapped layer to layer. So there is a logical object mapping between application and transport layer, because those are all software related layers. And there is a hardware related layers, network and data link layers, and physical layer. Okay, that is also having the identical object links, or we can call it as, normally we'll use the terms datagrams, frames and bits. One, each layer we are going to represent the data in the form, in different format. Okay, so each layer is going to represent the data in different formats. So all that we'll be discussing one by one later. So we'll start with physical layer. Okay, so why identical objects here is represented as bits, here it is frame, and here it is datagram. Okay, in the transport layer also we have used terms, segments or datagrams, and the application layer it is message. So that is where the user can interact or can understand the particular object information, not these information. The user cannot go with all this information. It is all like hidden from the user activity. User can just access the application, like how I will just open my mailbox. Okay, giving user login ID and password. Whatever the interface I'm going to get, that is an application. Then whatever the source address, and I will add the message to send. Then I will be just clicking on send. So then that particular message will go through all these layers. Okay, that is hidden from the user. User is no need to worry what is happening with these layers. But as an engineer, you should know what is the functionality of each of these layers. So considering that, we'll start with the first layer. Any questions as of now? Before